moratorium includes 25 acres of land here in the heart of Atlanta. You know, that's land that would typically get snatched up pretty quickly. Again, a very residential, very quiet neighborhood, but today that's not been the case. We've seen almost a parade of crews going down this street with their tools, with their services, even with a crane at one point. And I want to show you why. Come with me up here. You can see some of the damage to this home, making it completely unlivable at the moment. A tree crashing down through the roof right now. Crews hard at work putting a tarp over. If you felt maybe a little sluggish or a little grumpy this week, you get a pass here. You can blame the heat, but fatigue and irritability, well, that's just dipping a toe in a pool of problems. And they're using something as common as this, a USB cord, to start the car and getting away in a matter of seconds. This is extremely new research, but it offers a little hope here to reducing the number of cats without homes. Scientists say cat birth control might offer a better alternative. Officials emphasizing just how complex this search has been and will continue to be. Operations now turning to find more debris, anything really that can help experts answer how or why this may have happened. This woman tells me she faced inappropriate sexual comments from the first day she walked through these doors. Georgia Animal Rights and Protection says it's speaking up for animals who don't have a voice. In fact, a member of this group has been here several times over the last several months and has taken many videos showing living conditions at this facility. Paul Henry Nargeolet, nicknamed Titanic's greatest explorer, also works as director of underwater research for EM Group and RMS Titanic Incorporated, which is headquartered in Peachtree Corners. But tonight, he's better known as one of the men possibly clinging on to hope while time runs out. The search for a missing submersible intensifying tonight. More search and rescue vessels are gathering as the U.S. Coast Guard confirms a Canadian aircraft detected underwater noises in the search area.
We need to have hope, right? But I can't tell you what the noises are. But what I can tell you is, and I think this is the most important point, we're searching where the noises are, and that's all we can do at this point.
Among those on board, Paul Henry Nargeolet, director of underwater research for EM Group and RMS Titanic Incorporated, headquartered in Peachtree Corners.
Je suis Paul-Henri Nargeolet.
According to the company, Nargeolet has completed 37 dives in a submersible to the Titanic and led the first recovery expedition to the Titanic in 1987. He also supervised recovery of 5,000 artifacts, including a 20-ton section of the ship's hull. Extraordinary missions earning him an extraordinary reputation.
Worked with him over the last 30 years. He was one of our dive masters at RMS, and he's just an all-around good guy.
U.S.-based Ocean Gate Expeditions operated the voyage, now at the center of the search and rescue. It takes tourists to the famous Titanic shipwreck in the North Atlantic Ocean, nearly 2.5 miles underwater. Nargeolet previously led 6 expeditions to the Titanic's wreckage site through the company.
I'm 82. I've met thousands of people, really, and of all the people I've ever met, he was by far the most fascinating and interesting.
Friends of the missing diver note his passion for the ship and the stories surrounding it.
He would just tell you the most amazing stories. And I think a lot of people are Titanic lovers. They have, the stories are so interesting.
Now, we've reached out to EM Group and RMS Titanic Incorporated. We have not yet heard back. And as for those underwater noises, well, the U.S. Coast Guard says data from the Canadian aircraft has been shared with the U.S. Navy experts for more analysis, and that will also be used in those search efforts.
A person's golden years are supposed to be time to finally relax after spending decades building a life and career.
Yeah, and raising kids too, but instead some are spending years chasing around infants and caring for teenagers. That's not what you want to do when you're over 50, that's for sure. Atlanta News First anchor Savannah Louie learned Georgia's Department of Human Services has resources that could help you or someone you know.
Raising one generation is no walk in the park, but raising two?
Being a grandparent, raising the grandkids it's just a learning process.
For Carolyn Haith, raising 3 grandchildren is just as rewarding as it is challenging.
You've gotten older, you've gotten a little set in your ways, and you've got, your own set of rules.
On top of a generational gap, grandparent-led families often lack resources and support.
All over Georgia, they don't have grandparent support groups. So they call from all different directions.
That's where Linda Sanders steps in with Grandma's Hands Outreach, providing education, support groups, and resources like gift cards and food for grandparents, all while raising 5 of her own grandchildren.
I know from my own personal experience the weight and the heaviness that comes with that.
But that aid at risk. 1 in 4 grandparent-led households experienced food insecurity during the pandemic, and just over half of grandparent-led families are in the South, a region with food insecurity rates above the national average. Families and the resources they rely on now struggle to bounce back.
When I started the organization, I was in a place that I could provide them with gift cards, but there's not always funds available for me to provide that.
Even the nonprofit's beloved Thanksgiving tradition, 1 week's worth of meals for grandparent-led families, now canceled after losing access to a van that drives the food to homes in the metro.
Every year they do that, and it's a really big help.
As organizations work harder to find solutions, bonds within the group form stronger than ever.
It's like a close-knit family of grandparents. We're all helping each other.
In Atlanta, Savannah Louie, Atlanta News First.